Hey yo, what's that word? What's that word? It's yours truly, the brother, your brother, the dark side Afrocentrist. Get it? I ain't gonna bust no freestyle, y'all, man. I'm finna just dive into this video. Now, this is the third video I've done on Lovecraft Country and the insidious agendas that it's pushing. Now, I know a lot of y'all may be wondering, like, bro, if you hate this motherfucking show so much, then why the fuck you constantly standing doing commentary? Well, to answer that question, we don't have any righteous, decent black television shows that are supposed to put us in the right on the right path. You know what I'm saying? We don't have any patriarchal shows that really promote authentic black masculinity. So the best we can do now is take the bullshit that they give us and respond to it via blogs, vlogs, articles, commentaries on formats such as these until we start creating art, media productions, like the brother Sean James with the comic books, until we can bring his comic books to life, and the other brothers out here doing art and doing creativity. Then we pretty much have to just respond with the commentaries and the critiques. You see? Now this episode, I think this is episode 6 or 7. It deals with Hippolyta, and her journey to find the truth. You know what I'm saying, of what happened with to her husband, Courtney B. Vance's character, the uncle. Now, of course, for those of you who watch Lovecraft Country, y'all know we get to the point where, with a struggle with police and Tick helping out, saving her, she ends up activating this machine that sends her to this portal. And she wakes up in like a space UFO prison type situation with this figure who you see here on your, I think it would be on you guys far left, the robotic black woman with the big afro. And the big woman with the afro, the big alien black woman with the afro, this is where you start seeing the black woman as God principle, the divine black feminine principle being put into play. So with that, after a little bit of struggle, Hippolyta, you did what I'm saying. And first of all, let's talk about what the name where Hippolyta's come from. According to Greek mythology, Hippolyta was the daughter of one of like the queen of the Amazons, and she's kind of like an epitome of what it means to be a strong, fierce warrior woman. So that lets you know that the character who I know this lady name, she's from Mississippi. Audra Ellis is playing. You did what I'm saying. She's a strong, headstrong black woman. So that's where you see the feminism concept coming in. And so she talked to the strong black woman, and then she's transported into a portal. And one of the wishes she made was to be on, she was granted some kind of like wishes and shit where she wanted to be. So the first thing she said, she wanted to be on stage with Josephine Baker. And y'all remember early in the episode when she was on the bike, that was a French song by Josephine Baker being played. Now, this is where I gotta give y'all a lesson of a historical lesson dealing with the treachery, the racial, sexual treachery of famous black women. Okay, so Hippolyta asked to be transported back in time into like the 20s or 30s with Josephine Baker being one of her dancers. Now, Josephine Baker, I ain't gonna sit here and say she was a no good bed wench and all that, but she done her thing with white boys. She loved white men. She went over there to Europe. Even before she went over there to Europe, those are all she dated. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna shit on her legacy and all that. I'm not gonna. I seen the movie with Lynn Whitfield and all that. It was a very, for all its worth, it was a very well put together movie. But her life, the life of Josephine Baker, is a perfect example of when you hear black women always saying and complaining about black men going with white women and crossing over the color line. Josephine Baker was doing that shit in the 20s and the 30s. You know, a lot of these famous black women. Eartha Kitt, even though she's technically biracial, mulatto, but you know, Eartha Kitt. I can't think of her name. The sister who played on Space Trek, who was kissing the white man on Space Trek, and Diana Ross, who is, I don't even understand why Diana Ross is such a figure, because she's known for throwing herself in the hands of white men. Ever since that shit with Barry Gordy didn't work out, she's been a white peen fiend. And then you have Dorothy Dandridge, you know, who had such a tragic life from childhood. She was known with the white boys. Then we fast forward to Shaka Khan, Donna Summers, who damn near wanted to be a white girl, who she's a story in herself. Hell, even the great Shaka Khan. Yeah, the Black Panther with the African name was a white boy lover. Yeah, that's Shaka Khan. But this Josephine Baker lady, when you look at that scene, you see a lot of homosexuality, a lot of lesbianism going on. It's a very liberal, sexually perverted atmosphere. And then they even had a chick who was playing Frida Kahlo, who was another, Hispanic, a Mexican lesbian writer from back during that time. It's rumored that her and Josephine Baker had a sexual relationship, a lesbian relationship. So now you start off with this cosmic black female, which is like a black female goddess figure. Now you seeing the lesbianism, and then you hear Hippolyta has a conversation with Josephine Baker, and she talks about how white folks held her back and how white people found a way to lynch her without putting a rope around her neck. And she goes on to say that she hates white folks. She want to kill white folks and stuff. And you see right there, they're mixing the black rage with the feminism right then and there. And oh, by the way, the woman you see on the far left, the light-skinned lady with the dog, the finger waves on the far right, this lady was portraying Josephine Baker. So that's them pushing that agenda with Josephine Baker was rumored to be involved in lesbian relationships and all that. And they missing that with the black rage, with the black struggle. So this is, you see, when Irritated Genie started talking about homosexuals and homosexuality infiltrating Pan-African circles and black liberation circles and African-centered spaces, motherfuckers called him crazy. They called him a hater. They accused him of being gay himself, a closeted homosexual. But this brother was ahead of his time. He saw this shit coming. So now you seeing Hollywood promoting these shows that as a very homosexual centered narrative to the black liberation movement, to the black power movement. You dig what I'm saying? Just perverting a strong, solid legacy. So anyway, after she expresses, releases her anger and expresses how she truly feels to Josephine Baker, she's, as you see here, where she got the African warrior costume, she's transported to like the 1700s, or the 1800s rather, to the 1800s with the Dahomey Amazons. The black Amazons of Africa. And she's having a little battle. Like, hold on, man, I gotta bring up the other pic. I can't just sit on this pic. I gotta really show y'all. Hold up. So as you see here, this her, becoming a warrior with the Dahomey Amazons, and the lady who you see standing up in front of her. She gives a speech and talk about, they say we only good enough to cook their food. A real feminist speech. But what people don't understand, you see, this is why I call myself a dark side Afrocentrist. This is why I break away from the norm in the Afrocentric, African-centered community. You see, you have a lot of people who glorify the Dahomey Amazons as being true warriors and queens and all that, this, that, and the third. But what people don't realize with the Dahomey Amazons, they were established by a king. I'm gonna do a whole separate video on this one day, so y'all chill. I ain't got the time to really go into it right now in detail. But they was established by a king who wanted a group of soldiers who will be absolutely loyal to him without question, without fault. Now, if anybody understands the Fun people practice voodoo. The Fun people are actually one of the most patriarchal in their practice, in their culture, without any Arab, Islamic, or European Christian influence, are one of the most patriarchal cultures in Africa. You dig what I'm saying? Matter of fact, whereas most African tribes, I don't like using the term tribes, I prefer to call them nations, where most African nations, black African nations, are matrilineal, the Fun are patrilineal, okay? But, even with that, they're not as patriarchal as like any of the European or Asian cultures, but very patriarchal as compared to the other Africans around them. So the king, he wanted a group of soldiers who were just going to be extremely loyal to him, a group of warriors. So he came up with the bright idea. He said, shit, if I get some warrior ass women who going to ride for me and do my bidding, I'm good. So in a nutshell, that's how the Dahomey, their real name is not the Dahomey Amazons. I mean, they are the Dahomeys, but they weren't called the Amazons. It's another language. You know what I'm saying? But what people felt, they get an over-exaggerated role. For the most of their history, they were not the main aspect of the Dahomey army. The male warriors were. Over time, through wars and stuff, where the male population kind of the warrior population began to take a couple hits, that's when you see the Dahomey Amazons stand up. Because they were kind of just like the king's personal guard. So that's where you see them stand up. And they was doing some ferocious things, like the king to extract terror over the other Africans. He would send these women to check them and to terrorize them and torture them and kill some of them. You did, because the Dahomeys, they were like a weak state, and then they became a strong state. So he would use these women to humiliate the other African kings. You did what I'm saying? But you got this romanticism coming from African center, like these women are who we should have black women like. No, these women were trained by a black man to emasculate and to humiliate and to pretty much exterminate other black men. But that part of history is not told. And when it was time for them to go to war against the French, as you also saw in the scene when they stormed off against them soldiers who were probably representing the French soldiers who they had to fight. They put up a good fight, but they end up getting fucked over toward the end. They end up getting conquered toward the end. So that's it on the homie Amazons. So, but a lot of people use the homie Amazons to push this feminist narrative, this matriarchal narrative, when actually the homie Amazons were a product of a patriarchy. If you look at any group of African warriors, where you talk about the Kendaki queens, Queen Azinga, Queen Amina, or the Hausa people, Queen Yasantewa, men made them women warriors. Men instituted the training to make them warriors. You know what I'm saying? They didn't just become warriors themselves, or just they chose it. Nah, their fathers or some other man put them in that shit. But that story gets lost because it doesn't go with the feminist matriarchal narrative that people like to push. So that's what that is with that. All right, so now we at the end with when Hippolyta comes to, and she goes back into the talk, in a time in these different time warps, and she's talking to George, saying that she had to hold herself back to support them, which is more feminist programming. We got all these great women with aspirations being held back by their husbands, being held back by they know how hard it was for a black man to provide for his family and all that type of stuff. So they held back their aspirations to support a strong black man. You see, that's what they want. That's what the straight black men are what they say, the white people or black people, right? That's what they're pushing. And then George Courtney B. Vance's character, he apologized to her. He didn't, saying, I didn't know you really had that in you. I wasn't trying to hold you back. And then she goes back and she meets this cosmic black goddess figure who says, after she shows herself to be a strong woman and embrace her warrior femininity, she says, okay, you can become one of us. And she said, she said she respected the offer, but she had to go back home and raise her daughter D. That's it. That's a wrap up of that episode. But to end off on this note, I want y'all to see, man, this is aggressive, feminist, matriarchal programming. Aggressive matriarchal programming. This whole thing that women shouldn't be held down by motherhood or wifehood. They should be able to explore their dreams and live their lives and live their goals. Now, I'm not hating on that, but the facts are facts. When you have more women who are not being mothers, who are not being in the home and nurturing the children, you get more pandemonium. You get more chaos. That's why a lot of these children are growing fucked up, because their parents are working all the time. Father has a high-end job. Mother has a high-end job. A lot of times the mother job is more high-end than the father's job. The father, he may be, like he may be like how can I say, like a technician of some type. The mother might be a director at a hospital or some kind of school. So the mothers, a lot of time, is more work than the father. That's why all these affairs start. That's why all this bullshit start. Now I don't believe in telling people of any gender not to pursue their dreams, but these are facts, man. These are facts. You know, if you look at the more that women started getting involved in these other fields and become less focused, on the home and on the family, you started seeing more and more decline in the family structure. You did what I'm saying? But they want to push this to our women, to further deteriorate the black family structure. That's what this episode was about. It was about pushing some aggressive ass feminism to this warrior black feminism of the Dahomey Amazon. This liberal sexual black feminism of Josephine Baker. And lastly, this divine matriarchal goddess black feminism with this big black alien cosmic black woman some shit. So this show, Misha Green, they really got her pushing this agenda harder than a motherfucker. It's really sick. It's really shameful. And, and that's why I'm here to put light on it. And that's why we brothers like myself, we got to talk about it. Because black men, we need to know what we up against. This is the programming that our women are watching. This is the program that our men are watching. They want our men to support this. So if you men who think, you brothers out here who think you gonna get you a wife, who just gonna settle with you paying all the bills and taking care of all the business, hell nah. She gonna want you to do that and still pursue her dreams and aspirations. But you see the downside that they don't want to tell this, and I cut the music off for a reason, because I want y'all to hear this. The downside that they don't want to tell you about with these women, as a person who's worked briefly in mental health, these women are cracking under the pressure of these high pressure jobs, bro. And it ain't because of discrimination. It ain't because of sexual harassment. It ain't because of a decrease in pay. It's because they can't handle the workload. It's tough. You know what I'm saying? They can't handle being these high-level, high-powered managers and shit. And these bosses and shit, they can't handle that. They get, they on so many psycho. And for those brothers out there, if y'all had female managers, I'm telling the truth. They so hyped up and and tweaked out on these psychotropic medicines. It's crazy. So shows like this, man, this Lovecraft country shit is steady leading them to the slaughter, man, leading them to a trap of this strong black woman shit, which they can't handle. Taraji P. Henson is starting to catch a lot of flack because she's been more vocal, which is kind of funny to me because most of the roles she play deals with her being a quote-unquote strong black woman, like that Proud Mary bullshit. Now, she's talking about she doesn't embrace that strong black woman shit. You know why? Because she knows it's bullshit. And this show right here with Hippolyta, which is technically supposed to be the embodiment of a strong black woman, it's all bullshit, man. Smoke and mirrors. And it's leading these women astray. The Dahomey Amazons got conquered and subdued by the French. Josephine Baker ended up dying damn near broke. All them white men she fucked and who she was with. And even though she fought for the French against the Nazis by being a spy, a sexual spy that didn't mean her shit. She still died damn near poor and broke. Impoverished like a motherfucker. That's what they don't tell you. But anyway, man, Darkside Afrocentrics over and out, man. Another video coming. Y'all stay tuned.